Hello fellow plant people! Welcome back to my channel if you're returning. If you're new, my name is Jen and I go by The Leafy Geek here, also on Instagram. And it's going to be kind of a quick and easy video today. I say that usually at the onset of these videos and then it ends up running for a half hour. But today I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm just going to show you a quick tour and kind of overview of my winter 2020 setup in my apartment. Kind of pointing out things that are new, additions, things that moved around, plants that I'm trying in new places this year, and we'll just kind of go from there. Short and sweet winter tour. Small disclaimer, things are also kind of messy in here because I am in the middle of last minute kind of fall cleaning before the long winter months set in, and I'm just not going to feel like doing anything except burrowing under blankets. So if things are a little bit messy, I apologize, but hopefully you, along with me, can see that potential, because there are some exciting things that I'm doing in here. So let's just get into the tour. All right. This is my extraordinarily backlit office area. This is also where I film a lot of my videos here for my PlantTube channel. And it's also where I do a lot of my day job stuff. As you can see, I've got some home office equipment here. This little new guy I picked up today, but I will feature this in a future video. Don't, worry about that. And then I just have some also, So this is my other life. In my writing life, my writers group is publishing an anthology. So that's kind of a fun side note. I told you this video is going to end up being 30 minutes because I keep getting distracted. But that's a really cool thing that I've been working on lately in my writer side of things. But back to the plants here. So I have both of my cast iron plants in this window, my smaller cast irons. Mainly because they do really well with low light. And in the winter, this window gets the lowest level of light in my house. I don't have a grow light set up overhead on this window, so it is north facing and it is under a deck, under an overhang. So pretty dark in this corner of things. So cast iron plants are probably going to be perfect for this winter setup here. I also have still my Cebu Blue over here. This might end up moving. It's doing really well. Still, I'm not gonna lie, it's continuing to trail there and kind of climb around the curtain rod, but it just might end up being too dark for it this winter. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. There, change that up a little. So you can see it's doing awesome. I want it to continue to do awesome. So that's the plan there. Not a whole lot is different. My grow box is here. I've got some stuff rehabbing and some new stuff acclimating. Quite a few cuttings I'm trying to keep in really, warm, humid, bright conditions because as the, winter season starts to advance, it gets harder and harder to root cuttings. So we'll see how this goes too. Other than that, I finally was able to pot up my Scindapsus pictus exotica here. This was the plant that didn't do so great outside this summer, surprisingly, but I took cuttings of it and it's got some new growth happening and it was ready. All the roots looked really, really good on the cuttings that I had in water. So they went into soil and hopefully they'll continue to do well. I might move it to a brighter location also. So this is my half wall in my dining area. And it's kind of turned into philodendron central over here. I have all of my upright philodendrons pretty much stacked on this half wall, which they seem to like. I've been watching them since I moved them here, and a lot of them are improving from where they were. A lot of them have new growth. This new leaf is popping out of this imperial red here. That should be unfurling any day. And I also... What else do I want to show you on here? These cuttings are from my silver dollar vine that also experienced some pest issues outside this summer. So I cleaned it up real nice and I took cuttings from it and I'm rooting these cuttings under this grow light. I have an Aspect grow light here and I'm just rooting them in sphagnum moss in this little glass cookie jar. So that's fun. All these Hoya right here, I'm getting ready to kind of transition into my Hoya room. See some new growth popping up on a few of them. So I think they're kind of ready. They're kind of ready to move to their forever home in my Hoya room. And then I also have this nice, this is something that I purchased. So this will also be featured in another video. Just don't worry about that right now. All right, everything else is looking pretty good on this half wall. Oh, I did get some cuttings. I'll just feature these real quick. These cuttings came in the mail from Jaya's Jungle off of Instagram. I purchased a cutting bundle from her. And so I'm trying my hand at rerooting some of these, or I should say rooting for the first time because they are cuttings. I have a couple in here, and then I have a couple more in my prop box. So those will also be in a future video. Just love this leaf. This is my Macaulay's Finale philodendron. That's the newest leaf, and it looks awesome. Kind of looks suspiciously close to Prince of Orange, but Macaulay's Finale is what I believe it is. Okay, cool. So that light, most of my grow lights are on for, I'd say probably close to 12 hours on average per day. And the aspect light has, I think, a life expectancy of running at like 14 hours a day for 10 years. So that's pretty neat. I'll have these for a while. All right, here's kind of a sweeping view of my living room. Not a lot of plants over here yet, but as you can see, I don't know that I've really featured this side of my living room too much, mainly because it's kind of dark over here. It's an interior wall. It's probably about 12 feet, 14 feet from this north-facing window aspect grow light combo, where you can see there's just a crap load of plants under that. But for now, I put a few plants up here because I am installing this guy. This is the Soltech Solutions Highland track light series. So I have 2 track lights that I am going to be installing on this rail in my ceiling to shine on the back of my couch and into this corner. So that's exciting. I'm going to have some options for some additional plants over here. And I decided to start with a few plants that I know do fairly well in lower light conditions. So right now I have these peperomia up here, and I also have my big cast iron plant in this corner. But I am wanting to add supplemental light, so these won't be in this kind of dim, like interior low light for long. But that is the plan, and I'm excited about that. It's kind of the final project for my living room before winter hits. I really want there to be some additional light, and I love kind of the cast of the aspect lights, so I'm pretty optimistic that the Highland light's going to be just a really nice brightening function for my house, because this living room can be pretty dark if you're not standing directly under that grow light, because I don't have an overhead light in this room. So yeah, this table over here, got my humidifier out. I got all of my humidifiers out and ready to go for the winter. I've been using them already. And so I have a few of my more humidity loving plants over on this side of things, right next to the humidifier. And, oof, I gotta water. That's the goal. Today is peperomia watering day, and as you can see, holy cow, couldn't come soon enough for this poor little guy. So yeah, I just have kind of a row of peperomia up in front here, so that hound dog just has kind of a wall of pet-safe plants in between her and some of these less safe plants. And over here, this is kind of a new function I've added. I added one of my shelves from my bedroom. That's where this originally was. Added it to my living room so I could put a few more plants out here in this space, in this vertical space. So I have some of my newly acclimated humidity loving plants right here. I have some of my smaller peperomias down shelf. And this fern is actually rebounding pretty well. It was kind of suffering for a while, but it seems to be doing well in this spot. So I'm glad I finally figured that out. But yeah, this is kind of a mixed bag on this table. And over in this corner, it still gets quite a bit of light. So I've been keeping an eye on this polybatria, but it's just getting too big for this table. It really needed its own kind of space. So I set it here. Obviously it's not super bright on this table, so I am keeping an eye on it. It's kind of out of the path of any direct or even indirect light. It's pretty shaded here. It does get some ambient light from the grow light and the windows. So we'll see if things start to go weird or the leaves that grow on it, the new growth is too small, I might try and find a new home for it. But that is the living room. All right, bedroom. We'll flip on the overhead light just so I can show you kind of what's going on in here. So west facing window, minor changes, just the one shelf. I used to have two in this window, now I just have the one. But that allowed me to put some of my trellised Hoya onto this little end table that I have. This is an old, I think it's IKEA. But it allowed me to kind of rearrange a little bit, and I like the aesthetic a little bit better. The reason this is turned like it is, instead of like that, is to just allow for some space over here, because I ended up putting another grow light right here to hit some of these plants. Still kind of trying to figure out this corner. That's fine. It is a corner, so right now the shelf right here is where a lot of the nice afternoon light comes in. So the Hoya that I have on the shelf are pretty happy, I would say. This gal is blooming like wow. Holy cow, I didn't realize there were this many blooms on this thing, on my retusa. So it looks like she's been busy. So I think they're pretty happy over here. Let's see. Got growth on my rotundifolia, so that's cool. Rotundiflora. I always get that mixed up. Rotundiflora. Everything else is kind of just doing its thing. I do have to clean these. A little bit dusty. That's definitely on my list of winter to do. Yeah, things are looking pretty good over here. This is my Macrophylla albomarginata that I combined. I had one larger one and one smaller one that I ended up putting together. So that's what this is. Nice full plant now. Because I wanted to also get it into my soil because it was still in the greenhouse mix, which was a little bit too heavy for a Hoya. All right, moving over to my sunless corner. So had a bunch of Hoya on this wardrobe, but decided to try my succulents and my cacti here. And some of you might be groaning because, you know, kind of the idea for these guys to do well under artificial light isn't super promising. I've heard that from a lot of folks. It's kind of the best option that I have for them in the winter though, as opposed to having them sit in a west-facing window and not getting enough light, because even my west-facing windows don't get enough direct sunlight through them to make these guys happy. Because I tried that last year and you can see what happened here. This guy used to be this little barrel and he definitely stretched, so I ended up cutting him off and he's growing a new little cactus nub right there. But I didn't want to kind of risk that again for some of these other ones. So I really want to try and see what this grow light does, and it's all about light foot candles when it comes to measuring light. So I am going to be investing in a light meter so that I can really understand the light conditions in my home and just kind of double check and confirm what I think is going on with the light in my home for cacti. So I'm gonna try the succulents here and the cacti garden here. It's probably, I want to say it's probably about 24 inches from the very top of this cactus, this light. And then I have the aloe on the periphery and some of these other highlight loving succulents right here. So I'll keep you posted on these, and if I start to notice them stretch, I'm gonna have to try and figure out a new situation. But this is the experiment for this winter 2020. Then over here, it's a north-facing window. It gets a lot of good ambient light though from the sunless corner. And I have my calathea here. So all of my divas are in this little corner right next to a humidifier. And as you can see, Orbifolia is doing really, really well. It's got probably 4 or 5 new leaves since I have owned this plant. And it's growing in height, which is cool, and the leaves are getting bigger, which is also cool. So I'm pretty pleased with how this one's doing. These guys, I think, caught kind of a cold draft one of these cold nights, and so we do have some crisping happening on this poor little guy, and then this one always crisps up this time of year. So we'll just kind of have to see how they do. Might have to either figure out how to adjust this window, because I think there is a draft that comes in. As you can see, there's a lot of condensation up here, so I'm wondering if I'm going to have to do something to seal the window this year for the winter, or if I just need to move these. I've already moved them away from it. They're not like directly up against the window at this point, so we'll see. I'm keeping an eye on them. We'll see how they do. All right, welcome to my plant room. Also, my spare bedroom is what this was used for. It's kind of a mess right now because I recently purchased a sleeper sofa that's going to go right in this spot. And it's very cute, and I'm very excited about it. It's only I think it's only my second piece of furniture. I've purchased large furniture that I purchased as an adult, so that's kind of sad if you think about it, but it's also kind of fun. So this will be leaving, this mattress, and I will have this cute little sofa in here, and then I'm going to be able to put maybe a coffee table in here with some plant space for that. So this room is just going to feel that much more inviting this winter. So this is the only room I should say, this room I do not have a Soltech Solutions light in right now, because the light that I get in here has been really, really good for the plants that I have in here. As you can see, there's some natural light that comes in. It's supplemented by these under the shelf grow lights that I have, these LED strip lights. The plants that are in here have been thriving, honestly. They've been doing really well. The plants that I've moved in here have been growing. This is my Hoya Morellii. So I'm seeing evidence of that all over the place. So I feel pretty good about my lighting setup in here. And then I also have my big humidifier, my Levoit Cadillac humidifier right there. That runs, and the plants are loving it in here. So as you can see, I've got that nice afternoon light that kind of filters in from the southwest right there. I do have kind of an overgrown shrub right outside my window, so it's not too strong of light for them. And it really, really just is the perfect setup. As you can see, quite a few of them are pretty pumped about it. And we are in November, and we still have Hoya growing all over the place, which I love to see. And then I'm gonna have to probably figure something else out for this corner when my couch gets here, because I don't think this is gonna work very well. So I will figure something out. But I do just have some good growth happening in here, and it's such a cool vibe in here when it's clean. But really, overall, things are doing well. As you can see, I used to have like one of those antique triple tier fruit basket hanger thingies in here. That got to be just a little bit too much and in the way, so I did take that down, and I hung my linearis, which loves this spot so much. I'm still floored that this thing is alive, that I've managed not to kill it, which is knock on wood, but it's great. Most of my trellis Hoya are in here. Loving life. Sorry, I might be going too fast. I'm going to slow down just a little bit and pan over here so you can see what's going on. And I did move some stuff around on my big IKEA shelf. I don't know why I thought I was just going to have jungle cacti on this thing, but I've just kind of been paying attention to the plants to see what the plants want, and rearranging if I notice that one is not doing as well in a certain spot, or, you know, just in general not super happy. So I ended up putting the top shelf is now all Hoya. And the reason for that was I needed kind of a place to graduate some of my smaller Hoya, and I wanted to keep them all together. Look at that leaf. It's so awesome. This is my Blasternasii. So I wanted to keep them in one place if possible, so I didn't lose track of any of them. And this seemed like kind of just the perfect spot for them. So that's where they ended up. I can fit a lot of them on the shelf, as you can see. And of course my jungle cacti are still kind of doing well. I've moved some of my larger ones up here on that top shelf there, which gets a lot of grow light. Not a whole lot of direct sunlight, which is fine. They're happy. Obviously you can see this one. New growth all around. And it allows them to kind of sprawl out and spread out and drape up there, which I like. Jungly. And then, yeah, I have some of my drapier Hoya on this middle shelf here, and then just kind of a hodgepodge right here. This guy. Polyneura's doing really well too. Everything's just, yeah, I couldn't be more pleased as to where we are at the start of winter, end of fall. What else do I want to show you? This cool little mirror fixture. I really like using mirrors too for winter. I'm going to try and hang up some more mirrors wherever I can, really, because they reflect light. They make things brighter around them, and they're also just really pretty. So this is like an antique phases of the moon wall hanging. It's made out of antique mirrors. And so in addition to looking really cool and kind of fitting with my aesthetic, it helps my plants. So a little pro tip. Might add some mirrors behind this shelf also, so you can bounce some light around. But then I do have lower light plants up here. I have Scindapsus and my Marble Queen Pothos, which is still recovering a little bit from its transition back to inside. I have Discidia right there, and then a couple of aeroids. So that is the plant room right now. Not a whole lot of changes in here, mainly just busting out my humidifiers and moving things, kind of tracking the light and moving things accordingly. I did shift that. This table used to run the whole length of the window, and I did move some things around so that I could set heavier pots on the shelf, and then just kind of adjusted that accordingly. so that it was a little more stable, and most of the light comes in right here, comes this direction through the window in the winter time. So as far over to this side that I could get plants as possible was kind of what my goal was. I'm gonna have to do something with this. Holy moly. Where are you going, buddy? Cool. Yep, so I think that's it. What did I tell you? This is now like a 20+ minute video. So I can't stop talking about these plants once I get in here and start filming them, because I notice things, you know, through the camera lens that I didn't pick up on before. And I like sharing them with you guys and talking about them with you. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for coming along with me on this little tour of my winter setup. And until next time, enjoy your plants.